What's next? That's a great question. Disneyland is near fully operational as it's ever been. Done, and well, we'll get back to that one. But now it's time to cast our gaze towards DCA, where soon all the action will be. First though, there are a few projects around the Disneyland Resort to observe, and we'll start at Pixie Hollow. Where the good news is that the date hasn't changed this week. It's been pretty volatile, the return date for Pixie Hollow. But so far we're still set for January 5th. Got a peek over the wall to see some of the work that's being done there on that's the grotto there to the right. It's a decent view, but doesn't really tell the story. So we will still get on the Astro Orbiter, unfortunately, so my stomach will pay the price for this one. And where you will see there's like more color that has been added both on the surface, the bottom of the grotto, and on the rock work that's being done around there. Makes me wonder if that's the final color though. I feel like there may be another layer, but the work, you can see the work looks to be done. I mean, I don't see where else there's no scaffolding, there's no scrim up anywhere on the Pixie home section where we've been watching the cast members, the construction workers working of late. I mean, that looks like, oh no, there's a white tarp there. Okay, and that white tarp suggests that there are probably still things to do there, but otherwise I can't find any ongoing work being done here. I wish I knew what the problem was at Pixie Hollow. I really do, because they're saying January 5th. I mean, I know they got to let things set for a little bit, but a month seems like more than enough time for that. Quick stop at Space Mountain, where things are just as we left them the past few weeks. Construction walls are still up, still waiting for them to install the light fixtures. I think this thing is just on pause right now. We may not be coming back here again for the near future until I see some kind of action here. We'll go to ToonTown, say hi to Donald. He was very happy to see me. He likes my hat. We're here to... You guys remember when we had this huge... They never opened up the duck pond because they couldn't get the water right? Yeah, it's been closed now for going on a month at least. Maybe 2 months. No water has appeared at the duck pond for about 2 months. So I'm bummed now because they sacrificed a really cool feature of ToonTown, the Donald's boat, that you could climb up there and get a view of the ToonTown. You can't do that anymore. The stairs are gone. And if we're not going to get water, then I feel like they owe us to restore the boat to what it used to be. Of all the things that I love about ToonTown, Donald's boat is probably the one thing where I'm like, I kind of liked how it was before. Thank you very much. We'll go to Bayou Country next. Check in on Tiana's Bayou Adventure to see how things are doing there with the virtual queue and with the attraction itself, and it looks like things are going pretty well. Tianas is serving guests groups 25 through 47 here. And that was at about 10:30 in the morning when I shot this. So that's a pretty good clip that they're working on. They're getting the groups 47 by 10:30. I approve of that. Queue doesn't look too bad here, not too impacted, although like I said, it's still pretty early. So they haven't had a chance to suffer from any possible closures. Well, actually, now that queue is growing. the queue back to the left it started to grow already while I'm back here. There's the entrance, crowd moving. Here's the, okay, boy. You don't like to see the queue out here in these switchbacks. That's really just not the ideal situation. They built that beautiful queue over there, and yet they're not filling it up that way. They're filling it up with these switchbacks here. I hope this isn't a consistent pattern. This space back here is not designed for switchbacks. It wasn't. And here we are, we're in, week 2 or 3 of the thing, and they're not using it as intended. As intended, the queue should be over there by raised berets, right? That queue space, that's the space that should be full. I'm curious why they chose to do this. I'm actually quite curious. You built that queue, put the guests in it, and not in the common walkways where there's not supposed to be guests. It's backwards. I'm hoping there's a reason. I'm hoping. As a matter of fact, okay, so they're growing the queue out here. This tree is. I didn't realize the tree is sort of a hub, a wraparound for them to build. I guess it's intended in a way because you can see that there's obviously stanchions set up. They've installed holes in the ground, places in the ground to install stanchions for this very reason. I just feel like you need to use the actual space first before you get in there. But they're growing that queue even further, which means they're expecting to see that crew grow even further. By the way, interesting development at Tianas. I got a virtual queue for this Friday morning. Got up at 6:55 or whatever, and I was on time for 7 a.m. I got myself a virtual queue, group 30, I think, which is good. But the story here is that I actually decided to stick around to see how long it would take for them to sell out, if it's seconds, minutes, or what. And sure enough, on this Friday morning, which turned out to be a very busy day, as we'll find out later on in this video, it wasn't a slow day, but it took 5 minutes. It took 5 minutes for them to sell out of virtual queue, which is kind of surprising because when the attraction first opened, or when it first came online, it was seconds, right? So while it's you still have to be up at 7 a.m., you can get away, or I should say, you can at least not feel the pressure of, the anxiety of being exactly correct at the 7 a.m. mark. Today, anyway, on this day. And I've actually observed this in different ways other times that I've tried to get virtual queues. It's been easy for me to get them of late. I'm hoping this situation remains the case. And I'm also hoping, by the way, that we'll be out of virtual queue. I think this is something we mentioned in our State of Disneyland report. I think we'll be out of virtual queue sometime next week, I think. So stay tuned for that. We'll keep our ears open, but I think it's going to happen maybe 1st of December. On our way out, looks like Winnie the Pooh is closed. I was literally going to make a point about the Winnie the Pooh breakdowns when I walked into the land. I'm like, I should talk about that. But it was open. I'm like, I should have a breakdown happening while I'm talking about it. So I didn't say anything, or I didn't. Why? Before I could finish my shoot at the back of Tianas, I came back out and Winnie the Pooh was closed. So there you go. There's our commentary on why is Winnie the Pooh breaking down so much? I don't understand it. It's a great question, right? I don't remember it ever being like that before. Before we head out of Bayou Country, I passed by that sign. Do you see that sign there with the plaid covering it? The blue plaid? That was for stroller parking, that sign. That was a stroller parking sign. They've covered it. Do they not want strollers parked there anymore? Because I didn't particularly care for it, to be honest. I didn't care for strollers being parked there, especially not in front of the Winnie the Pooh entrance. People were parking their strollers right there in front of Winnie the Pooh, out in where the boulders are, the stones. I hated that. I didn't like that at all. So I don't know if this is going to be a permanent situation or if this is just temporary. But I mean, I don't know where else you park your strollers in Bayou Country, but I do prefer them not to be covering something so beautiful that they created there at the entrance to Winnie the Pooh. We'll check in on the Mystery Gate. This is that secret path that's, well, not secret, the unused path that's really beautiful that guests used to be able to access when it was Splash Mountain. They didn't get rid of it. It goes nowhere, but they still didn't get rid of it. It's still there, and I want to go in there, and I'm upset that it's still cast member only. Why? Open the gate, Disney! Next door is the Haunted Mansion gift shop. Hoping to see some updates here today. It's been kind of, they took the walls down and were like very excited, and there's this exterior, and the first reactions weren't great, and they were very, reactionary, the reactions were. But it's been a couple weeks now, and they still haven't done much. And I'm hoping that they're waiting to the last minute to put all the theming stuff out there in front of the gift shop. I'm really hoping, but boy, I'm really hoping. I'll just leave it at that. Obviously, next door is the Haunted Mansion, where Disneyland's been messing with us. In between our construction reports each week, they took the walls down, they opened up the standby queue. All these things are happening in between our construction reports. So since our last report, all the walls are down, standby is open, Haunted Mansion is fully operational. There's no virtual queue, standby and lightning lane as it was prior to the attraction closing way back almost a year ago. So on this day, I decided to test that wait time. It said 45 minutes out here. I got in the queue just to get some more B-roll and to find out how full, how dense, what is the pace. And I will say that on this morning, this session, the pace was actually pretty good. We weren't too clogged up. There wasn't too much lightning lane influence, at least while we were in the queue. And we actually got through the entire queue. We got to the door of the Haunted Mansion in 35 minutes, which I was pleased with. Posted 45, took 35, and as you can see, the crowd was moving for the most part, or I should say that the queue was moving. 35 minutes to the door. But something that I noticed when we left was that lightning lane was no longer, or I should say it was a problem. It's bad anytime you see, I don't like seeing lightning lane anywhere past, let's say, the steps to the mansion. Anything past that and you're in trouble. They're not only past that, they're around the corner, past the hearse, out the door, out the threshold, and into the common area. This is a disaster for Disney operationally. This is a disaster for, and I don't mean, it's bad because this is not what they wanted. Again, this is similar to the conversation we had with Tianas back there with that extended queue. They don't want guests out here. They pushed the Lightning Lane redemption spot into the queue over there where the hearse used to be, so they could keep the Lightning Lane guests out of the main. Because remember, back in the day, they had the scanners out there in the front, and the queue, if there was one, would stretch around the side of the mansion, and that would cause problems. It was very disorganized, very confusing. So this is much more organized, much less confusing, and it should be. You're hoping that it's enough to, that space is enough to house most of the guests for Lightning Lane. The problem that they're having, I believe, is that it takes too long to scan those guests. They can't process them quickly enough, I think. So I don't know. Hopefully this does not look good. It's bad for crowd control out there because there's a lot of loiterers and people just hanging around waiting for their Lightning Lanes. Haunted Mansion has always been notorious for that, and it's bad for standby. It's bad for standby, man, because we have to wait for all those guys, and that's something that we encountered we did a night visit the same time. We came back later in the evening, and it was posted 65, and I wound up waiting, I want to say 85 minutes to get to my vehicle, and Lightning Lane was just laborious at that point. So I'm hoping that they find a way to get this a little bit more efficient, or maybe it's just demand, but things are going kind of rough at times here at the Haunted Mansion at the outset. Speaking of virtual queues, Pirates of the Caribbean is next. The clock is ticking, Disney. The clock is ticking here. Like I said before, there was sort of an unspoken promise that when Haunted Mansion got its Lightning Lane back, that they would take Pirates off. But as of this recording, there is still Lightning Lane at Pirates, and every single day that ticks by where Pirates is still on Lightning Lane is something that I'm going to observe every single day. Pirates is a standby attraction. Everybody agrees. Well, I should say most people agree. It is unnecessary to have Lightning Lane on Pirates. The way that they pitched it, that they were adding Pirates to Lightning Lane because of Haunted Mansion, suggests that they were going to take it off once Haunted Mansion was back onto Lightning Lane, which it is now. We're standing by, Disney. I have heard that is going to be the case, that Disney will remove it, but I don't understand even why they've waited even a couple days. It should have been the same day. Stand by. We'll keep watching. But for now, Pirates is still on Lightning Lane. Let's get back out to the front entrance to check in on the new entry gates, which are still nothing. I think, what are we on? Eight weeks now? It's been 8 weeks. Those walls have been up, and I believe that they're installed. They're ready to go. We saw those pictures last week. But there's a legal issue with them turning those things on, and how I believe the issue is with how they stored the image, the scanned image of your face. We'll keep our ears open and eyes peeled for that. Inside the park in Town Square, you can see they're getting ready to install the candlelight procession setup. So far, we just have those two sides the two things that flank to the left and right of the Disneyland Railroad Station, and those walls, those construction walls up there at the loading area. And that's actually kind of it for Disneyland. Walking up, I recorded this on this morning because I'm so delighted by how Main Street looks, and the feeling, the vibe, the magic Christmas vibe, and the fact that I knew what was ahead of me was a very clean, finished Disneyland. I mean, I'm expecting, we're due for another refurb session on the Matterhorn. That's something kind of like what they're doing with the Disneyland Railroad. We're due for another session there, like a 3-month refurb for the Matterhorn. I can't remember when the last one was, but they do it about once a year. And actually, that reminds me, I forgot to talk about the Disneyland Railroad. Rumor has it that we are going to be getting another closure, another brief refurb. They're going to close the Disneyland Railroad. I've heard from multiple sources sometime in January. I don't know if it's related to the track work that they just got done doing the 3-month refurb, but it will be going down for about a month or so, I believe, in January. We'll keep our eyes and ears open for that as well. But that's all I know of. That's all I can think of that's coming up in 2025. Today, Galaxy's Edge looks great. Everything's working as normal there, the way it should. We even got a sighting of Peter 2. Disneyland's great. Look at, oh man, I love that man. Okay, Fantasyland looking great as usual. We haven't had any issues in Fantasyland here for quite a while. They just got done with that the paint job before. And there again, we happened to catch the Pearly Band and Bert and Mary. Which reminds me, here's a thing. Have you guys noticed that they have changed the safety speech at King Arthur Carousel? It's no longer a cast member on the mic. It's a pre-recorded spiel that they do, and it's the same one every single, tour around. Listen.
Welcome to the King Arthur Carousel. Please walk and watch your step as you choose your trusty steed. You are more than welcome to stand in between two horses. For those riding with a child, we ask that you please fasten the safety strap around your child waist. Please fasten the safety strap around the child's waist if their feet do not reach the top of the stirrups. Thank you. And enjoy your ride around the king. Huzzah!
And that's actually what qualifies, or what may qualify for a construction update in the coming months at Disneyland specifically. I expect 2025 to be a very clean, unless something unexpected happens. Everything's going to be operational. They're not going to start any new projects. I don't believe Disney's going to be starting any new construction projects aside from the Disneyland Railroad and perhaps potentially that Matterhorn situation. But they're going to want to have 2025 to be as seamless as possible for the 70th anniversary. That's what they've been rushing to get all this stuff done before that. And they've done a pretty good job. We're here. We've arrived here in November. We're ready for 2025. We're ready for the 70th. There's not going to be a lot happening construction-wise here at Disneyland in 2025, I don't think. Can't think of a better time to make plans to go to Disneyland right now, because between now, all through Christmas, through the holidays, through December, and then probably 2025 as well, it's going to be just about pristine. Time to start making some plans for this trip to Disneyland. Use our travel affiliate if it's okay with you. GetAwayToday. There's a link in the description below. They will help you plan that trip to Disneyland or any other park you're trying to go to. Disney World, Universal, Alani, Cruise, you name it. They are the best. We love them. They love us. Contact GetAwayToday to make your travel plans, and you're going to get the best assistance that you can find anywhere on the internet. Link in the description. I hope you guys enjoy your trip. Respect. So let's get back to that question we asked. What's next? All that action is going to be here at DCA. The action for 2025 will be at DCA, and that's going to be our home right there. The Pixar Pal Around. We'll be climbing into one of these probably every week to catch up on. There's a few projects happening that we should hopefully be able to see from the Pixar Pal Around, assuming that those construction projects happen anytime during the 2025 season. One of those projects that we're keeping an eye on is the Coco Dark Ride that is coming to DCA. Our initial prediction was that it would be back here where we got the camera pointed right now, behind the Incredicoaster, behind the Pixar Promenade. That's backstage space right now. That is where we had heard that the attraction would be built. There's still some debate about, I think Disney is undecided still. So it's doubtful that we'll see any action here anytime soon, even if it does become the final destination for the Coco Dark Ride. But this is one place we'll be looking to see if there's any sort of activity, any sort of movement. But this shot right here is 100% no movement whatsoever. They are fully operational with whatever it is that they're doing back there in those three buildings that exist behind the Incredicoaster. They have not moved a single bit of backstage operations over there. One site, though, where we do expect to find extensive changes being made, obviously, will be Avengers Campus backstage behind the Avengers headquarters and the Mission Breakout building. It is confirmed this is happening, and it's going to be starting. The project starts in January. That's what I'm hearing anyway. But if that's demo, or if that's just basically shovels in the ground or what, I'm not sure. So it could be that we'll see them sort of scrambling to get the space ready for demo, and tearing up the concrete, the brickwork, or the blacktop, etc. But today this looks about, because we were here last week. If you watched our construction report last week, we were here on the Pixar Pal Around, and this is about how things looked. We're going to be keeping an eye on those tents down there, those green tents. those vehicles that are just backstage. We can't really see that white. I'm not sure if that white building is destined for demo. The green buildings are very, very actively used today. They are for, a myriad of backstage operations, and I don't believe that they're going to be demoed. I don't believe that they have to tear those down in order to make room for the Avengers e-ticket. But all of this space, as we pan to the right, should be, the future home of a big e-ticket attraction. It's kind of, I need to get some other views. Beyond that is Harbor Boulevard, and beyond Harbor Boulevard are a couple of hotels. Well, a lot of hotels. And I do believe we can see, I think I'm gonna have to find out if I can get to the tops of one of those hotel buildings and see if we can't see from the opposite side to get a better idea, a better angle, really, or at least a different one of the construction back there. Stay tuned for that. And then, of course, the third project that we'll be looking out for, we've been waiting for years and years and years for this to start, and that is Disneyland Forward, and the expected first expansion site to be right here at this Simba parking lot behind the Pixar Place Hotel. That's where we're going to be casting our gaze soon. Well, I should say not soon, but now. Although again, much like the Coco Dark Ride, I don't think they're ready. We're still not sure where they've decided to build Avatar. If that's going in the back lot or if it's going here. This was my predicted site. My money's been on this lot since the beginning, mostly because of its ability. They have access to water from this site. They have access to, the same World of Color Lagoon water supply here at this lot. It'd be much easier to connect to water. And this is a water-based land, obviously, based on the concept art. There is no immediate access to water, this kind of, volume of water at the Hollywood backlot. It's been my understanding that it's difficult to get water onto that site. I guess that's what I'm saying, to the Hollywood backlot site. A lake's worth of water, that is. But we'll be here to look at Avengers Campus, and in that time, we'll keep our eyes open for any developments that happen at the Simba parking lot as well. By the way, Little Mermaid is open. The attraction is open, but the walls are still up, and I still can't tell what they're doing over here. They've taken, I'm not sure if these walls extend all the way back here, but you can see that part of the queue is open now. In fact, it's quite full from here. But the walls are still up on the outer part, the walkway. And I don't know if that's related. Well, I guess it was. They closed Little Mermaid, so it must have been related to the attraction. I'm still thinking maybe they're doing some sort of queue extension, which I would have thought was laughable under most circumstances. But on this day, okay, check it out. I'm walking down this queue right now, right? I want to go see how far I can get into the queue to see if there's anything that they did to the queue proper while it was closed, which I couldn't find because it was just the crowd. It was too busy. I couldn't get down there, so I just pointed the camera in there and I'm like, okay, let me see if I can't find anything. There's nothing here. While I was standing in that queue, it just blew up behind me. This is what happened to the queue while I was in it. I had to make my way through all those guests to get out of there. And then out front, the queue just grew and grew and grew. It blew up. I don't know, Little Mermaid? Incredible. I was not expecting that. Okay, so we got one more thing to check in here at DCA, and that is the Cozy Cones Motel. Just seeing if there's any development with the new space that they're building here by the the rear part of the Cozy Cones. Not a lot of progress since last week. Still, my going prediction is that they're building a single point of sale here instead of going to each cone separately to buy your ice cream or your whatever. You go to one spot and then you just pick it up at the cone, at the appropriate Cozy Cone. But otherwise, I can't really tell how close they are to completion. Which reminds me, I talked about this a few months ago and nothing ever happened and still hasn't happened. I'm over here at Paradise Garden Grill. They closed this spot of the Paradise Gardens presumably because they were going to build a net of some kind to catch objects that fall from guests' hands from the Goofy Sky School. But that was months ago, and I don't see any sign of any kind of net. So there's probably some sort of delay or hang up here on this project, but the walls are still up, but they haven't done, there's no progress at all on that I can see anyway of them building that net. Which brings us to Downtown Disney, which will be a site of further construction in the coming months, but they are wrapping up. The Lego store, actually we're here the same evening, this Friday evening, the Lego store has reopened. It's ready to go. I can't see inside, or I couldn't get inside because there was a huge queue, but I did try to poke my camera in there a little bit, and you can see the main thing you'll notice is they absolutely did take down that second story situation that they had up there. Guests couldn't get up there anyway. Meanwhile, over at the Parkside Market, a lot of signage has been installed. There's the Sip and Saunders sign. They're getting close to opening there. As predicted last week, they had just the market sign up, and now the Parkside portion of that sign, a very retro, postmodern, or I should say mid-century modern script there. Look what's going on here. This is the second story outdoor bar. Yeah, you got a lot of lighting fixtures that have been installed, both inside and out. Matter of fact, that one lighting fixture looks like it could be even some kind of hidden Mickey, depending on how you look at it. And then there's a very mid-century modern lamp hanging down the far right side. This is going to look great. And then you may or may not have heard, the walls are down where the Avengers Reserve gift shop will be. Where the walls are still up is likely where they're going to build that Hulk statue. But the store next door, D-Lander, is open. And there's a queue to get into D-Lander. This store has opened a week early, at least. It was a soft opening at first, but I haven't seen it close since then. It's been open every day that I've been watching on social media. So guests can go. You just have to wait in that queue a little bit, and that's going to be the shop is for high-end merchandise, third-party stuff. Dooney and Burke, Kate Spade. But guys, let me tell you, this space that they've built is popping. And this is not an isolated incident. Every time I come through here at night, every time I come through at anything resembling a busy time, let's say noon on, it is just full of people and activity, people having fun. There's shows, there's performances there on the stage. And this is only with nothing, well, really just Din Tai Fung is, by the way, Din Tai Fung, my God, still popping. Din Tai Fung is still drawing huge crowds, but that's really the only restaurant that's open here. You've got the Earls and the food truck. But Downtown Disney in general is doing great. Holy smokes. Downtown Disney on a Friday night is insane. My God. And with that, we're going to wrap up our Disneyland Construction Report for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's going to be an interesting 2025. I'm really hoping that they at least get started quickly on the Avengers e-ticket, because I don't think I could survive without doing these. What do we do without a construction report? I don't know, Fresh Baked, but I'll let you know if nothing happens. In the meantime, if you like this show and want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. And then follow us on Instagram at _freshbaked, on Twitter at freshbakedisney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at freshbakedisney. Otherwise, we love you guys. Be safe out there, be kind to one another, and fresh baked.